The Lanteria Performance module offers organizations the ability to create a comprehensive competency framework to aid in accurate performance assessments. The competency framework in Lanteria is structured based on competency areas, which divide into competency groups, which are broken down into individual competencies. Each competency, as we see, has its own description area, elements that comprise that competency, and applies to all job roles or selected job roles as well. We also see that we can have individual levels and level descriptions for each job role to which this particular competency is applied. This allows us to be able to assess individuals based on the requirements of their job role, even though there may be overlapping competencies. As we know, for example, an office manager might have a different requirement for verbal skills than a CEO might be required to, and so assessing them should have its own corresponding level, and Lanteria provides this. So in the competency framework, we can apply our competencies on the competency job map. In the job map, we can actually see all of the competencies and all of the job roles and how they apply to each one. If we take, for example, a janitor, we see that the competency here is the problem-solving creativity, the required level of the individual. So we have all the levels available of assessment. What's the required level for this particular job role? And we can also choose the importance of it for this particular job role as well. Likewise, we can choose to exclude certain competencies from a performance review or from a 360 feedback. So thus, when a new employee is assigned to a particular job role, they will immediately inherit all of the competencies that have been assigned to their job role. In the case of Montgomery Burns, the Chief Financial Officer, in his goals section, in his competencies section, he can actually see all the competencies that have been assigned to his job role and competencies that have been assigned to him individually, irrespective of his job role. We can see the most recent assessment and the description of that assessment by opening it here, and the description of that actual competency and all of the requirements therein. All of these competencies, of course, can be assessed within the performance review form as well, provided that the section has been added to the form template. In the gaps analysis, we can see how an individual's assessments map up to the required goals for that particular job role. As we see here, with the green job role requirements, we actually have the required point of each competency. So flexibility comes down to the lowest possible requirement, whereas decision making is required to be quite high for a CFO. And in the yellow, we would actually see all of the assessments that have been conducted against Montgomery Burns for that time. We can break these down based on job group as well to see a more granular picture of the way that these competencies are created. The Lanteria system does not come with a pre-populated library of competencies, except for a very few basic ones to help give your company a start. So your company should plan out the competencies that they choose to assess, and be aware that you may not call them competencies. You might call them skills, or you might call them values, or these are the specific metrics by which you measure an individual's performance against their job role and as a player in your company or in your organization. You should map out your competencies on paper first before implementing your complete competency framework. You should describe the areas that you choose, the groups that are necessary, breaking down to the actual competencies. Navigating to my employee homepage, to my performance reviews, or by clicking the link in the email notification of the performance review, I can open up the performance reviews that require my action and click on Fill In to open the form. Here in the Competency Assessment section, I can click on each individual competency to assess it according to what I believe is the appropriate assessment score. Or I can open all competencies at once and assess them in a single scrollable page here. As we can see, the descriptions for our competencies are in fact HTML responsive, so we can have a variety of display options here to show a very organized sort of representation of the competency description and what we need. As the HR, I can view the performance dashboards to see the top and low performers for particular competencies, see who the top 10 or top 50 or top 25 competency scores are, as well as view a number of other statistics as well. So to recap, the Performance Review module provides an infrastructure for a comprehensive competency framework that is broken down into areas, groups, and competencies. The competencies can be assessed individually or as a group during a performance review, and they're linked to the job role of the individual. The employee inherits these competencies when they are assigned to a particular job role, and these competencies are pulled into the competency assessment section of the performance review form. And that concludes the competency framework section of the Lanteria performance module. Thanks for watching.